Alright guys, welcome back. So we're going to continue where we left off in the last video talking about HTML5 elements. And I want to introduce attributes to you. And what attributes are well, kind of additional information we can add to our tags. And sometimes attributes are actually required because they add essential information to the HTML element so that our browsers can process things. So here's a couple of examples of attributes in HTML. The first we have up here is a class attribute, and this could also be an ID attribute. So ID equals description. And these can be whatever you want. So you can name classes and IDs whatever you want as long as they don't start with a number, I believe. And what this allows us to do is it gives the person reading our HTML a little bit more information about what is inside of this paragraph tag. And secondly, we can access these classes and attributes in CSS using specific selectors. So if I wanted to style all the paragraph tags with the class DESC in my CSS, I could write something like p.DESC, and then I could do a style rule there. Subsequently, with the ID would be p $DESC, and then the style rule. So these are class and ID attributes. One thing to note is that class attributes can be used multiple times on the same page, whereas ID attributes can only be used once. So elements that you want to classify only once in a document and that they will only appear once, you want to use an ID. For things that will appear multiple times in a document, you want to use a class style. And this will just help you avoid throwing errors when you validate your code. And with the class styling, because you can reuse it, you can create styles and class elements in your HTML and then reuse that code throughout. So you're not constantly writing, for instance, a link styling or constantly styling the paragraph the same way. You can create one class style and everything will inherit that look and feel. So the other types of attributes I want to talk to you about are the attributes you would find in an A tag or a link tag. And these attributes are things like titles and hrefs. And the href here tells our browser where to point this person when they click our link. And the title attribute gives us a little tooltip pop-up when we hover over the link. And this is also a big usability plus here. It gives us an idea of what we can expect when we click on the link. So these are two examples, additional examples of HTML attributes. And I also just want to point out one thing, that this link right here, this path, is what we call a relative path. And this is going to be important as we move forward in the semester. And what a relative path means is that this path, this link, is relative to the site. So you notice that I have a / here. So if this link were live on the internet, when I click this, it would take me to / link at the web page. So if I was on Cswd.com and I click that link, the link would be Cswd.com/link. Now, okay, so we were rudely interrupted there. So I was talking about relative and absolute links, and this is a relative link. And as you can see, the link is where the final link ends up is determined by what site it's on. So if I were to move this link to another site on a different domain, it would be whatever that domain is /link. So now if I want to be specific about where the domain is going to, I need to create an absolute link. And an absolute link is just that. It tells me absolutely where I need to go to get to that link. So the absolute version of this particular link would be http://Cswd.com/link. And that's the full absolute link. So no matter where this appears on whatever website, it's always going to point to the crdo.com domain and then go to the link. So that's the difference between an absolute and a relative path or link. And you want to make sure you know the difference, because these become important when not only you're linking off to other websites, but when you're linking internally within your current website, like you would to an external JavaScript file or an external CSS file. So one last thing to mention before we jump into actually writing some HTML5 is that I want you guys to use the full .html extensions. Don't be tempted to use the .htm extension. I don't like this. Most web servers will interpret a .htm and display it properly. The problem is by default, the Apache web browser, which is the most used web browser on the internet right now, does not support .htm by default. So you can end up in some frustrating battles with the web server trying to figure out why your web page won't display, and sometimes it's because you're not using the full .html. This is also an Internet Explorer Windows / front page hangover, and I just think it's bad practice. So when you save your HTML files, always remember to use the full .html extension on your files. Going to be looking for that. All right, well, we'll see you guys in the live mode.